Hey everybody, welcome to another review from Izzy Cinematic Escape on YouTube. It's 11:56 p.m. I just finished watching The Black Phone, and as per usual, the review will be spoiler free. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details of this review. I have always been such a fan of horror films in general. My favorite horror film of all time is the original Halloween in 1978. I could watch that a million times over and never get tired of it. I feel as if I'm always witnessing something new to uh, to notice when it comes to that specific film. So when I saw the trailer for the Black Phone, I wasn't sure what to make of it. To be quite honest with you, I was very, I don't want to say apprehensive. It just didn't really look that appealing to me by just the overall look of the trailer. It just seemed very, I don't want to say hammy, just didn't really seem deep or menacing. Just it just looked like another run of the mill horror film from my perspective. And I saw where Scott Derrickson was directed it, and anyone who's familiar with Scott Derrickson, he directed the first Doctor Strange, and he was initially going to direct Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, whereas essentially it would have been a pure horror film until he left the project due to creative differences with the Marvel franchise. Uh, and I completely forgot that he directed the Day the Earth Stood Still, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister, Deliver Us from Evil. I completely forgot about those films. It just I think the reason why I did because he keeps such a low profile when it comes to those specific films that there's nothing really essentially flashy about him or the horror films that he creates. So it's easy for him to more or less fly under the radar. So, and I really did love the first Sinister. I thought the Exorcism of Emily Rose was very good. I even thought The Day the Earth Stood Still was quite good. Compared to the original classic, I thought this was flat out amazing simply because I've always enjoyed those type of themes when it comes to aliens visiting Earth, and this one was a much more darker representation compared to the classic black and white one. So with the Black Phone, after reading and listening to various reviews around the film, and of course watching the trailer again, I found myself being more intrigued by what I was getting ready to watch. And let me tell you, folks, this, in my opinion, probably has to be the best horror film of 2022 right now. And depending on what Halloween Ends brings in October, I'm gonna have to say that this, for me, is up there at the top of my list, tied with Halloween as my favorite horror film of all time. It's up there. It's because it's just this film was absolutely phenomenal. It hit all the right marks with the scares, and the beautiful thing about Scott Derrickson when it comes to his type of cinema, a lot of horror films today rely on the gimmicks of the jump scares. There's always a jump scare. It seems like every 5 or 10 minutes, and you know it's coming. Then when the director has to rely on that gimmick in order to get people to jump, in order for people to scream, then I view it as the horror film not really doing its job as far as cementing that impression and that sense of being disturbed and frightened by whatever it is that you're watching on the screen. So with this, it was just so much atmosphere and tension and brilliant acting and writing, and the cinematography was just outstanding too. And what makes it such a brilliant film is that it reminds me of the essential classic old school horror films that I was watching at one point that I still watch from time to time, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, rather, Seven, Friday the 13th, Psycho. It has a very stripped down appeal that makes it traditional in the sense that I do believe that everyone will find themselves embracing the new, I guess the new renaissance of cinema, whereas it's not relying on the blood and the guts or the jump scares or showing the monster all the time or having these cheesy one liners. It is simply relying on the atmosphere and the tension and the characters where you find yourself caring about every single one of them and caring about this one specific character and what is going to happen to him. The story is that you have this child killer known as a grabber who is abducting these kids and murdering them, but they don't know who he is. They don't know what he looks like. All they have is more or less just an idea of who this individual possibly is or where he lives, and he ends up capturing this one kid, and by the character named Finney, and Finney starts experiencing all these supernatural elements and the voices of the kids that the grabber has murdered, and slowly but surely he begins to put the puzzles together as far as being able to discern what happened to the kids before him and what's going to be in store, what's in store for him. And you see the grabber, who was played by Ethan Hawke. Evil has many faces, and I'm a firm believer that the most horrifying evil is the ones that are literally standing before you or walking by you, and you have no idea who they are. You don't know what they're thinking, and they're essentially right underneath your nose. The greatest trick really is when you want to fool somebody is place that clue right underneath their nose, right in front of them, and hide in plain sight. That to me is absolutely horrifying, and that's what made Ethan Hawke's performance so genuinely terrifying. He is absolutely brilliant, magnificent, and terrifying in this film. He was scary, downright scary. I mean, pure evil. It was almost as if you took the elements, the real life elements of an Ed Gein or a Pee Wee Gaskins or a John Wayne Gacy or a Ted Bundy, and you just compartmentalize them into a sense of this dreaded evil. He's not Michael Myers or Leatherface or Jason. This is a real evil that has no remorse for what he's doing and takes pleasure in the fear of children and also taking their lives. And Ethan Hawke, what I will say another cool thing about this character is that he has a mask for every different mood and personality that he is exhibiting, and each mask is creepy in and of itself. And it was just horrifying, absolutely horrifying, intense. I can't say enough. If I know horror films in general are never necessarily nominated for the Academy Award. However, Ethan Hawke deserves to be nominated for the Academy Award for this performance, because I can't see anyone being more scary than him in this film. Seriously, no one comes close. Nothing is going to come close to me as far as this being the best horror film of 2022. It deserves all the praise that it's getting. And even the child actors that are a part of this film, those are usually always the toughest ones to believe as far as the performance is concerned, because a lot of child actors, depending on who they are, they don't necessarily come off as realistic or having given a tour de force performance. They always seemed hammy, forced, not believable. Every single individual in this film, the children, gave authentic performances. It felt real, raw, emotional, and intense, and that's what makes it special too. With all the characters, the actors and the actresses simply just play well off each other, and the reactions are that much more genuine, which I think is what separates this horror film from any other ones. It really just plays on the sense of being just disturbing, unsettling, claustrophobic, and the very notion of when you think about children that go missing, what is going through their minds? Just the fear of this monster, this evil, standing before them, and they know, I'm never going to see my parents again. I'm never going to see my friends again. I'm never going to attend the prom. I'm never going to get married or have children. That has to be such a horrifying ordeal to even fathom, knowing that these kids, some of them are, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 years old, 10, 11, 12. It doesn't really matter. Every child death, any death really, is tragic. But when it involves children, it's that much more disturbing. And this film just hits all the marks when it comes to being on the scale of 100% in the disturbing factor. And it's also, when you really think about it after watching it, it's a period piece. It takes place in the 70s with great 70s music, I might add. And you see it in the fashion, you see it in the hairstyles, and how the neighborhood looks. And most films that sort of centered around the 70s always showcase this environment of pure innocence, fun, excitement, and adventure and wonderment. This is one of those type of 70s period piece films where every single individual has issues. It focuses on those issues. It's not all rainbows and sunshines and running the woods and playing hide and seek or playing basketball or hanging out in the arcade. Every single child, every single person in the neighborhood is experiencing some form of issues, and that's what makes it much more real for me as far as someone who watches cinema. Just this film, The Black Phone, is in my opinion, I have to say it is the greatest horror film of 2022. I don't see it coming close, and this is coming from someone as I mentioned, who loves the original Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday the 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, uh, Poltergeist, even Hereditary. I thought Hereditary was amazing. None of those films, with the exception of the original Halloween, comes close to the Black Phone. This, the Black Phone, is up there for me as my favorite horror film, tied with the original Halloween. It's They're neck and neck, and I can't recommend this film enough. Now, I don't recommend taking your children to it. It is very violent and gruesome, and there's a lot of images here that it would be very unsettling for them. And the jump scares that are in this film, there's a couple. There's one that got me really good. There is one that got me to the point where I jumped and I was not expecting it. That's the brilliant. That's what makes a jump scare is when you don't expect it. When you're expecting it and you know what's going to happen, you can prepare yourself. I was not prepared for this jump scare, and you will know what I'm talking about when you watch it. I have to say, seriously, the Black Phone, a 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up. I recommend it. Please go watch it. It's if you like a film like Split, Seven, Saw, um, and the Amityville Horror, the Exorcism of Emily Rose. If you're able to really just combine all those storylines and those themes together into one cohesive horror film from with the brilliant mind of Scott Derrickson, this is what you would get. You would get the Black Phone, and it's worth every single dollar. Do not miss this film. I highly recommend it. And once again, this is coming from someone who loves horror. So please do watch this film. Do not miss it. It's 5 out of 5 experience. Absolutely terrifying, horrifying. Ethan Hawke, I tip my hat off to you. You deserve all the praise and accolades when it comes to your performance because you did an amazing job. And I sincerely hope that he's nominated for Academy Award because if he's not, that's highway robbery. Please let me know in the comment section what you thought about it and provide a like if you want. And be sure to visit my Discord and watch about other videos on YouTube and spread the word to your friends and family. But seriously, go watch The Black Phone. It is worth it. I'll see you all again, my friends, and take care and peace out.